Welcome to the Strategy Mob Podcast. Tune in for a deep dive into everything automotive with some of the top experts in the field. Be in the know with Strategy Mob.
All right, everybody out there, welcome to another episode of the Strategy Mob Podcast. My name is Skinny, and today we have a very special guest. We have Meghan Brazil, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And she is a really cool person, and she's from Great Lake Honda. So we're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm going to give you the floor. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be a part of this. Of course, it's super fun to chat. A little bit about me. I mean, I've been in the car business for almost 6 years now, and I sell cars. I've sold cars since I started, and kind of grown my way up through the ranks. And I'm currently the senior salesperson, and doing really, really well. Built a great book of business, have a ton of amazing customers, and love the dealership life. It's got its challenges, but it's super fun. I love it.
Yeah, every day's a new day in the automotive world for sure. And I think anybody who hasn't been exposed to it, I mean, it's probably like everybody else's job, right? There's always the weird ins and outs and the little idiosyncrasies, but the automotive world in particular, my gosh, is that ever crazy. And you know, especially now, right? Especially now when we have all these different challenges that everybody's facing. And I'm sure you can agree. I haven't been in the dealership setting per se every day for a little while. So I mean, tell me, what's life like, especially because you're at Great Lakes Honda, so that's not like a big GTA store for us. How is it there? Like, how's the atmosphere?
Yeah, so well, we're super small, like you said. We're not GTA. I mean, we're a single point market, and it's good and bad. Obviously, you know, with car shortages and everything, it's just kind of taken its toll. But you just got to stay positive and stick with it. But over the last year and a half, I mean, I've seen the industry just fluctuate up and down so drastically. It's just blowing my mind. I mean, I've seen them push in rebates at weird times of year and pull out rebates at weird times of year, increase interest rates towards the end of the year when they'd normally be clearing stuff out because they're running out of cars, or start giving away cars because there's so much inventory. And obviously right now we're on the low end of inventory, but morale, you just kind of have to roll with it. I mean, this is life. It's happening to everybody. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier to deal with. And we're just kind of rolling with the punches and hoping for the best. And it wouldn't be terrible to not have a ton of cars to push around in snowbanks for the winter, but
That's something that you were only going to get from a salesperson. I can remember those days where you're just like, there's a snowstorm coming the next day and you're like, oh, I'm going to have to move all these cars in the shop. And then if I show up early, if I'm on the morning shift, then oh my gosh, yeah, that's so funny. I guess, yeah, that's one of the advantages of moving into winter with a short supply. You don't have to move so many cars.
Yeah,
There's this positive spin.
Small positive spin, exactly. I mean, I always want more cars. I always want more cars to sell, but you can look at it two ways.
No, and it's funny too, right? Because like you say, everybody's going through it. And it's so true. Like, we're doing home renos right now. And, if this was 6 months ago, going to buy a 2x4 was like $11-12. And people were just like, I guess that is what it is, right? And are you getting that same kind of feedback from consumers now? Is it kind of they're just going with the flow? Like, I don't have the car, it's a factory order, it could be 3 months. Are they forgiving, or what's that kind of feedback that you're getting?
Yeah, it's I'm actually personally finding that most people are forgiving. There are still obviously always going to be people out there who are upset or disappointed or angry. There's definitely those out there, but for the most part, the majority of people are understanding. I mean, unfortunately, you do lose some deals. I mean, we're at a pilots right now, but I've got a good amount of CRVs, so I might sell a CRV because another dealership didn't have their small SUV in stock, but I might lose a deal on a pilot because somebody didn't want to wait, the 3 months, and they're still understanding and kind and nice. I mean, I had this happen to me last week. Very, very nice young woman, young family wanted a pilot and ended up with something else just because they couldn't wait. They needed a vehicle. So it's like, I get it. And everybody gets it, and no hard feelings, but it's just, it's a tough time right now. You just have to capitalize on what you've got. And when you do have somebody who's willing to wait, sold unit incoming, it never hurts for the future to have a nice incoming sold unit as well, right? So
Yeah.
it's tough, but you just kind of have to look at it a different way, a different perspective, you know?
No, I agree with you. And I was just talking with someone the other day. I said, if I was looking at a vehicle and I had my heart set on this car, and then you go in and you find out it's going to be a long wait, but you're in that period where you need a vehicle right away. That's tough now, right? Because some people come in with their heart set on something, and like you said with that customer, and they wanted a pilot, and now they're just starting that venture all over again. But like you say, every manufacturer's in the same boat. So I'm sure you're getting people that were maybe looking for a Mazda CX-5, but now they're here because they don't have them, and the CRV is going to have to work. And how does that work now? Are you finding that when you get those customers, obviously you have to do a lot of educating with them, or are you finding that they're still primarily leaning to online after perhaps learning the disappointing news that they can't get maybe their first choice?
So it's definitely interesting. There's still a lot of cross shopping. There's still a lot of people that are, looking around out there. For the most part, I mean, when you get into a small SUV like that, they're all going to be very, very similar. And what I find, especially with Honda, is because it's such a strong brand and because the vehicle's already so strong, reliable, safe, all of those things. I mean, there's lots of great vehicles out there, but Honda's always been, at the top. It's easy for people to make a decision towards a Honda.
Right.
And, the education part of it, yeah, I mean, there's certain people who come in knowing exactly what they're looking for. But more here up north in our small town, we still have people who don't have computers. We still have people who don't have cell phones. Like you would never believe it until you saw it, and then you say, "Oh, okay, that like I don't have an email address," and you're like,
Wow.
"Yay." Okay, well, let's how about you just call me then? And our reps from our traffic system, he's like, "You're gotta be kidding me." I'm like, "I'm
Yeah.
sorry." And there's people here that just don't do it. So with the education standpoint, yeah, there's still people that you have to go through all the steps with and really show them around the car because they don't have the internet to kind of pre-teach them about everything. And
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, I kind of like that better because that's part of my job is being super knowledgeable and really really understanding my product and how it will present to somebody and how it'll fit their needs. So I almost kind of prefer that personally.
Yeah, and I have this big gripe with the industry right now is that people have lost. I say people in general, but a lot of salespeople have lost the art of a walk around, right? Like lost the art of actually showing a car and going through features, benefits, values, understanding, if the customer needs this and doing this whole needs evaluation. Like, I don't know about you, but the internet has been so great for car sales and for car sales people. We have never had it so easy. But
Mm-hmm.
then for someone like yourself who's a little bit more isolated and you have these customers who don't rely on the internet as much, you're still honed, your skills are still probably up to par. But then we've got some salespeople that are literally order takers. People come in and they're like, yeah, I'm here for this car, and they're like, okay, great, like how can I facilitate that? And there's no sales involved in it anymore, right? So that's a huge benefit for you being isolated, that you still have that skill of being able to just do a walk around and show a customer a car. It's so lost.
Well, you're right, it is. And even I've noticed over the past year, because I mean, our dealership specifically, we used to go on test drives with customers and not just to like sit in the back seat, but I would take them on a test drive, show them the features, especially with all the new safety technology we call Honda
Hmm.
Sensing, that like a lot of people don't know what this stuff is, right? So I'd take them on a 15-minute test drive, show them the features, and then bring them back to the dealership, drop me off, and then let them go drive it themselves, right?
Yeah.
And we can't do that anymore. And you definitely feel that pullback of value building in your product,
Yeah.
where before it was like you're building value the entire time you're showing these these vehicles and all the features and everything it can do. And you're winning in a lot of ways because there's not many salespeople out there that are doing that.
Right.
So having been able to kind of redo how we do business has been a challenge, but it's been really good. And being able to send videos to customers and doing virtual walkarounds, that kind of stuff makes a big difference. And you always, as a salesperson, have to build value. Even if somebody comes in and says, I want this car and I want these features and this color and I know what I want, there's still an entire transaction that has to happen after that. I mean, you go into a conversation of, well, I want to pay cash. Okay, well, why? Why wouldn't you look at leasing or financing, or look at the rebate you get if you lease? And there's interest rates and a whole conversation there where you can build value in the dealership, yourself, and the vehicle all together in the transaction, where before you would have only done it maybe in the vehicle. Now you can do it in the transaction because you don't have as much opportunity with the vehicle because of the internet.
Yeah, it's so true, right? And so that's a great point, and I'd love to talk about that in depth to you. And what I mean is, so you talk about building value, and I'm a firm believer that is crucial, because let's face it, I've always said that people buy from somewhere for two reasons. The first reason could be convenience, and that's usually the first one. The convenience being, that's my local Honda store. It's close to me. I'm going to go there and check it out. Or people will buy for customer service or experience. And one can trump the other, but not the other way around. And what I mean by that is someone may come to their local Honda store because it's convenient, but have a poor experience. Now they will choose experience over convenience. Now they'll search for a better Honda store to do business with, whether it's by, Google ratings, or they're like, they just go back online, they do some sort of search to find it, or they just drive to the next farthest one, right? So convenience can easily be trumped by a poor experience or a referral to a good experience. And how do you build that experience now when you have a shorter period of time with the customer? You can no longer go on a test drive. And you have customers coming in that know a lot about the vehicle, right? Like it's such a shorter version of what we used to do with customers. I remember before, you'd be with a customer sometimes 2 hours that day, and then an hour the next day with the wife. And you could be 3, 4, 5 hours invested with customers. And now I feel like the transaction could really happen within an hour. So how have you adapted, and how have you grown to build that experience both online and offline to attract customers to you?
Well, so it's just adapting to the world we live in mainly, right? And I'm all over social media, which doesn't hurt anything. And I've got a lot of my customers on social media. And years and years ago, I had started adding people to my social media and kind of decided that social media is going to be business. It's not going to be personal. I didn't use it much for personal anyways, so it was kind of okay. And just started kind of posting videos of cars and whatnot. And over the last year, I just embraced it fully. I went all in. I do walk around videos of cars. I do a used car pick of the week. I do new car feature of the week when I've got time. I try. I do a mini series called Dealer Jargon, where I kind of go through stuff that you hear around the dealership that maybe you don't know what it means.
Oh, cool.
Just trying to bring awareness to the car industry through social media. And I do have a lot of people reach out to me to purchase cars through my social media. And then beyond that, if they come in as a web lead or a phone up, or even they come in once and, they didn't buy on the first go. I use an app called QuickPage, and QuickPage actually, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's
No,
really
never have.
neat. So it's you can do a video and just say, hey, it's Meg from Great Lakes Honda. Thanks so much for sending in your information request on a CRV. I'm super excited to meet you. Just thought, you could put a face to the name for when you come in for your appointment on Friday. In the meantime, I've added a bunch of videos below this and information. Have a peek through, and then on Friday, I'll answer any questions you've got. So I'll intro it with that, and then I have below, I've got a brochure of the car they're looking at, our website, a bunch of videos that I've made myself, walk around videos of the vehicle, videos about the safety features,
Wicked.
videos about certain features in the vehicle, and attach all of that to them so that they can kind of get that experience from the comfort of their own home, which is what people are doing anyways, right? You're browsing the internet,
Yeah.
they will be browsing what I'm sending them. So
So
we send
instead
that to
of
them on Wednesday, and then they come in for their appointment on Friday. They're just as educated as they're educated in a way that you would be doing if they had come in the door in the first place.
But I think the best part about that is you've educated them with your own links, and you've directed them to pages that are for you, so that way you're not sending them to, Honda Canada's site or to an independent review. You're putting them back into your funnel and just like serving them your content. So obviously you become the go-to.
That's the goal, right? I mean, when I started this journey of really diving into the videos and whatnot about a year ago, I wanted to. Honda Canada does a great job of providing us lots of walk around videos and informational videos. But I wanted to have my own version of that. I want to be able
Mm-hmm.
to send my face out there so people know that they're relating to me. And it allows people to get to know me, that I'm fun, I'm relaxed, I'm easygoing. It's going to be a good experience. And you really see that through my videos. I don't put on a personality. I'm me. And if I screw up, I send it anyway. So people get a sense to know you, and then they feel comfortable dealing with you. It's a scary thing going into a dealership, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's scary enough to leave your house these days. It shouldn't
Yeah.
have to be scary to go buy a car. So trying to just make it easy on people.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point, right? Like, and I was talking to Paul Long about this the other day, about how you have to be yourself when you're producing video, because it's really going to match that experience when they come into the store, right? You wouldn't want to be, maybe sweet and caring and everything on video, and then you come in and you're just a hard ass, right? That would not go well, or vice versa, right? I mean, Paul's a great example. He's just this outgoing guy who's Mopar, and if then you came in and he was in a suit and tie and very prim and proper, people like, what the heck is going on? So no, that you have to be true on video, and that's such a great way to really gain customers that like you, and your own set of customers. And I've told fellow salespeople, I'm like, listen, man, like if you like fishing and you want to sell cars to fishermen, throw that in there, right? Like you can attract your own clientele. If you don't want to sell cars to accountants because accountants are difficult to deal with, in your opinion, well, direct it so it's not going to attract accountants. There's things that you can do to attract your own type of clientele. And then, your day is a lot easier when you have people that you kind of relate with coming in.
Well, that's it, right? And then they know they can relate with you, so then they feel more comfortable, right? I mean, I do the same thing. I mean, I'll post, I'm really involved in sports in the city, so I'll post a picture of, my team at the soccer field, or heading out to support a local business, or, I'm going backpacking this weekend, and poured rain the whole time, and people can relate to that kind of stuff. I mean, we live in the north, people go hiking and they go camping, and
Right.
people relate to that kind of stuff. So they love it, and it shows a side of you that's that they can relate to, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes a big difference. I agree completely. You need to be you, and you need to be truthful and honest, and just show that side of yourself online.
Yeah. I think, and what it comes down to, I think the reason why we want to do that is because we want to put a human element back into it, right? Unfortunately, the industry is it's been tainted over the last 50 years of, painting this typical used car salesperson and things like that. And if customers only knew, right? And I always say that if they only knew what actually goes on inside a typical dealership, inside, the feelings and thoughts that a typical salesperson has. And I hate the word salesperson because it's just associated with that. But I've always said that if customers understood that the objective is to sell you a car, right? That's the objective. But the goal is to actually legitimately build a relationship. The goal is to have you walk away and say, that was a great experience. I loved it. And the salesperson saying, oh, it's too bad. I enjoyed, the couple times they came in. That's really the goal, is to build that lasting relationship. And it sounds funny because you're just selling cars, but you know how you've had customers, I'm sure, that you just click with, right? And it's fun and it's easy. And you know, somebody's asking you, are you going to sell me this car back? Or are we just going to chat all day? Because you just get along with them so well, right? And if people could see that, that changed kind of the face of the industry. And I think that's why what you're doing by posting these videos of you just being you is so relevant and so engaging, because people see that and they go, she's not just a car salesperson, right?
Yeah, it has to be the goal. I mean, you're right, and I love that because people always come in with their backs up. Not everybody, but a lot of people come in with their backs up, and then we talk about it all the time where it's like you sell somebody a car, and then all of a sudden they change. And they're a completely different person. They come to pick up their car. They're so grateful to you. And all of a sudden you're best friends. And it's like, you were really mean throughout that whole process. I didn't think we clicked. I didn't think you liked me. I mean, I was just trying to be the best I could be, but what are you going to do? But some people, it's hard and they've had bad experiences. So I get it, right? But my whole goal ever since I started was once I started learning about the car industry, because I didn't know anything about it before I started. I mean, I'd never bought a new car in my life. I had bought one used car from a used dealership and that was it. So I really didn't know anything about the car industry. And then once you start learning about it and you're in it, you're like, my goodness, people really hate us. And I just didn't want that to be me, because that's not who I am. That's not who a dealership is. We do run a really good business and we take care of people, and it's all about customer service first, but you got to earn that, right? It doesn't just happen. You've got to earn that trust from people, especially in an industry that's had such a negative stereotype for so long and still actually, sadly, sometimes is true, right? So you have to earn that respect and you have to earn that trust. But you're right, once you do earn that trust and that respect, people come back and they don't even think about it. They come in just to have a conversation with you. And it's like, we'll sit there, like you said, and talk for an hour. And then it's like, okay, so let's go look at colors. And then it's like, okay, I'll pick it up Friday. It's like, we don't talk about anything. It's like, it's done. I knew I was coming here to buy a car, but I just wanted to catch up. So,
well, no, and that's cool. And exactly. And I mean, that is really the goal. And it's hard to get there, like you said, right? And I think a great way is exposing yourself, because it's exposing yourself on doing videos, right? And just, like you say, explaining car jargon, like this is helpful for you, right? So you're either going to entertain people, you're going to educate people, or you're going to tell a story. And, by collectively doing all these things, people just get that kind of behind the scenes look at what happens at the store and how you are, and they become very comfortable. And now it's just easy to come in and, have this conversation with you, and I can be a little bit more vulnerable and say, like, I really need a car. What a word, you don't want to usually say something that when you're about to buy it, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change how you do anything. And I find that the only times I've ever seen or had to or experienced other people, I quote, playing games with customers, is if the customers started this off, right? A customer's just holding all the cards. They're not telling you anything. They're giving you like, I'll take it if it's $8,000 off. And you're like, oh my God, we're going to do this. It would be so much easier if we're just straight to the point. I'm going to help you out. Here's and it's just so polluted when the customer tries to play games, because it's like, we don't want to go down that road, right? We're not going down that road. So just stay on this path with me. We'll get there and we'll both be happy.
And like, there's a level to which, you let a customer guide the transaction versus how much you're guiding the transaction. But oftentimes when people act like that, I just ignore them. It's like, I'm just like, okay, well, you can think whatever you want. It's unrealistic. So let's move on, and just kind of skip past it. And eventually you usually win them over. And if you don't, it's like, well, that's your problem, not mine. I'm here to provide a good experience and help us get to a common spot. And I want that to be a good experience. I don't want it to be a fight. So it doesn't need to be a fight. It can be it can be fun. It can be relaxing, right? It doesn't have to be a fight.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So how have you, like, when you're doing these videos, how do you come up with these ideas for what you want to create? And like, how do you stay consistent? Do you have a method to the madness, or is it just kind of when you have some spare time, you pick up your camera and start doing stuff?
So I never have spare time. I'm constantly looking for spare time. The amount of stuff I could do if I had more time would be incredible, but I think everybody says that, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
What I kind of roll with is, I have a calendar that's specifically for my social media, and I have a few things per month that I do every single month. I do my walk around video, like I choose a car for the month. So this month is Civic month. And I choose a car for that month, and then I focus on that with regards to, all of my little content throughout the month.
Okay.
So I do my walk around video. My marketing team is great for that because they'll help clip together and actually do like a proper walk around video, which is really cool. And then I'll usually do a dealer jargon, or try to do a dealer jargon once a month. And I focus on 2 or 3 big videos that I really want to do. And then the rest, it's like I've got ideas. I try to do my used car pick of the week every Friday, and I try to do a new car feature of the week every Monday, but it's not always possible. So when it happens, it's great. When it doesn't happen, it doesn't. And then, obviously just trying to always have content up. So customer appreciation posts, when people buy a car, they are always, I write a blurb and post their picture and the whole thing. So that gives me content, as well as, just a little fun fact here or there gives me content. You can schedule it ahead of time with Facebook and Instagram Business Suite, which is nice because then it's all like done.
Yeah.
I was on holidays this week, so I had everything scheduled last week. I didn't have to worry about anything. So then it just kind of goes up as you post it. But yeah, just trying to stay engaged with people and be there as much as you can. And when I'm super busy, I'm just not there, and that's okay. There's only so much you can do, but my main goal is selling cars and focusing on the people that are in front of me. So you do the best you can, and some months are better than others.
And yeah, I think, consistency, they say, is always the king to social media, and always, you can overdo it, of course, but I think when you're providing relevant things, it's either if you're entertaining somebody, that's kind of anytime you want. The educational stuff, like your walk around stuff, I like how you schedule that. You pick a car a month, and then you build that little social things based on that car too, which is kind of cool, right? So every month it's a new theme, it's a new flavor, but it's still consistency, which is great. And it's still exposure and engagement, right? Because really, the selfish part of you're doing it because you want the exposure and you want the engagement, and you want, it's not about likes and shares, but it's like you need that bit of attention because the dealership itself has this marketing budget, but it's never solely directed towards Meg or Paul or Chris. It's bring people in the door. Our guys will take care of it, right? But you always hear this constant thing. It's like you run your own business in car sales. You're your own business. Well, okay, but 98% of the people never run it like it was their own business, and they just fall into the trap of sitting there, reading the paper, waiting for the up to come in. And that's the extent of how they are an entrepreneur. But now things are so different, whereby I bet you most people watching this or listening to this are on their phone. And people consume everything on their phone. Ask how many people have cable still, right? Maybe not in Great Lakes, but I can, like, there's so many people that just got rid of cable because they're like, I stream everything. Instagram is my entertainment. Netflix is my entertainment. LinkedIn is my educational entertainment, networking. And we've all got access to those tools, and they're all free. And it's mind-boggling because if you left the house in the morning without your cell phone, you would run back to grab it. And your cell phone is a tool that can create hundreds, if not thousands, of leads every month. And yet a lot of people don't treat this like their own business. They sit back and relax when they could just be creating content for entertainment, if anything. If you're not smart and you don't know the product because you just started and you're new in the business, create entertainment about this is what the car business is about. Like, holy crap, where the heck did this all come from, right? Like you said, you were blindsided at how crazy a car dealership operates. Show that. You're new. You don't have anything else to talk about. But just from that, you'll get the engagement, right? And that's really, for you, I think where you start to win is it's this big kind of profile of who I am, get me some attention, and then this is how I help, and this is how I treat people, and then the return is you get your leads.
All of my coworkers all do their own social media, all of the salespeople. And some of us are better at certain things than others. And it's really cool as a dealership combined when we put our stuff together to see what people do.
Yeah.
One of my coworkers is awesome at editing and making videos, and I'm useless at that kind of stuff. So he makes these amazing videos. Another girl, she's really informative in a lot of ways. She does like TikToks and all sorts of trending things. It's really cool. Photography, all these kind of cool things, right? So it's all about your brand and what brings people to your doorstep. And that's the way that you bring people through the door these days. It's not about picking up the phone and making 50,000 phone calls a day the way it used to be.
Thank you.
Don't get me wrong, there's time and a place for that, but that's not what it's about these days. Like you said, you have to entertain people, inform people. I don't even have a computer at my house. I don't have a laptop, because everything I need to do on a computer, I can do at work or on my phone. I do all of my social media from my phone. I bought the top of the line phone when I got a new one because I knew that I'd be doing social media with it. So I don't need anything more than that. I don't have cable.
Yeah.
It's just the world we live in now. Everything's on your phone.
Okay, so I want to dive heavy into this because you brought up something, and sorry if you're a dealer watching this and you're like, I do that, effing listen up, because this is the time that you need to listen. Like, okay, social media, dealers are like, oh, fuck it, whatever. No, you guys are so naive. You yourself, I'm sure, are very similar to me, and you're very similar to everybody else out there, that you get caught in these little black holes of being on social media, and you just tumble into this, like, oh my God, 20 minutes later, I'm still watching reels on Instagram, right? Like, my wife's morning routine is she wakes up, goes into the washroom to shower. Once she gets out, she hits her Instagram reels, puts it on the mirror, and just listens. She doesn't even sometimes watch as she gets ready, And she doesn't do this just once. She'll do that in the morning, and sometimes when she's home from work taking a break, but you get caught in this little black hole, right? Because there's some people that you follow that are really interesting, but then you get on reels, which are just random, and all of a sudden she's looking at little tiny houses. So social media is so bloody relevant. And I think dealerships are like, they don't like that term because it's social media. It's entertainment. As soon as we stop calling it social media and understanding it's entertainment, that's when you're going to get the value. Because dealerships in the past, years ago, would have loved to have a budget to create an advertisement for TV on prime time, right? They would have, if somebody came to them and said, hey, listen, for $2,000, I'm going to give you a 35-second spot at a 7 p.m. on Grey's Anatomy, the first, commercial break. They'd be friggin' in like this. Well, why don't we understand that entertainment is happening all day, every day, between the hours of 7 a.m. and probably 1 a.m.? Like, it's just constant, right? So how, and you said it best, like, you've got to create these experiences. What is it that you're trying to do in store so that way, not just you are picking up your phone, but you get customers picking up their phone to share that experience? Is there anything that you're doing to make it social worthy or shareable?
I think that the first problem that dealerships have with social media is they don't understand it well enough. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot that goes into social media. You're not just posting a picture or posting a video. You have to use appropriate hashtags. You have to use the hashtags that are relevant, but also ones that are going to keep bringing people back to you. So you have to use the same ones, but different ones. Mm-hmm. You have to use tags. You have to tag businesses so you show up in their feeds, in their grids. You have to share the stories and tag the appropriate businesses and hashtags so that you show up in discovery. I mean, there's so many intricate details. And the problem being, the algorithm's always changing.
Yeah.
So what you think works now is not going to work 2 months from now. It changes so fast. So I think that that's the main problem, is that dealerships don't really understand it that well. And I've learned a ton from our marketing team. They're amazing with how to do these things, because that's how you stay relevant on social media. And then the other thing that dealerships don't get is they'll put advertisements out, stuff that you get from the OEM, and stuff that, it's just like, $750 rebate on CRV, 0.99% over a
Yeah.
minute. Like, nobody cares about that. Nobody
Repeating the
wants
national ad with your dealership name at the top.
Nobody cares. We all know it. You can find it anywhere. What people want to see has to be a combination of entertainment and value.
Yeah.
So information that they're going to want to watch. And they're not going to want to watch a video about what rebates are going on, or here's another used car, or here's, 15 pictures of my used car lot. That's not, nobody cares. If they want something, they'll go looking for it. But
Thank
what you
you.
want to hit people with is the stuff that they don't know that they want to know.
Yes.
So I don't know yet that I want to know what the residual value means on a lease, or I don't know yet that I want to know that the Civic's the best-selling car in Canada for 23 years in a row. But as soon as I see that on Instagram, it's going to pop into my head. And then when I do start car shopping, I'm going to go, oh yeah, I thought there was something good about the Civic. I'm going to look up that Honda Meg girl. Or you want to stay relevant in their heads, and you want to give them information that helps educate them, because that's what this society wants. They want to be educated. They want to be informed. They want to feel like they know what they're talking about when they go in somewhere, and they want to do it all online because it's part of their entertainment. They're not just using Instagram Reels to watch videos of cute kittens. Well, kind of. But you're watching a video of a cute kitten, and you scroll to the next one, some random person talking about cars, that catches your interest. Then now it's a combination of entertainment and information. You get the best of both worlds, and that's what people want.
And you couldn't have said it better. The amount of money that dealerships piss away on advertising a national ad that literally the next day. Do you think Honda Canada doesn't spend millions of dollars every month to advertise that national ad, and you want to take your measly little dealership budget and try to do it better? Like, people don't buy cars for price. People only look at that when it's relevant because they're in the market for buying a car. Fantastic. Who cares? You're up against everybody's competition then. But what you're talking about is people who aren't even in a sales funnel and telling them something they didn't know they wanted to know. And it's so hilarious that phrase, I'm going to show you something you didn't want to know, right? And it's so true because it's entertainment. And that is where all the attention is right now. Everything social media is entertainment. And dealerships don't understand that's effing free. You are creating entertainment for your store right now at a cost of $0. And they're blowing their brains out trying to figure out how to get more leads. That's how you get more leads, not by getting another CRM or by hiring, another private sale company, or, by hiring the next, get rich quick scheme that all these dealerships subscribe to. That's not how you do this shit. You just create entertainment so that way people are already thinking of you well before they want to come into that sales cycle.
You want them thinking about you even if they're not going to be in the sales cycle, so that when somebody at a party says, oh yeah, I guess I need a new car, and they say, oh, let me share this video with you, I just saw this the other day, might help you, and then you're now relevant to that person. People don't think about that. And you're right, it's totally free. It's free. You can spend money on it if you want, but I don't spend any money. Well, I started spending a little bit of money, but I really don't spend that much money on my social media. I just let it do its thing. And it's really starting to bring me a lot of customers, and even people that it's funny, they have a question that they want to ask, but they're not in the market. They're not ready to buy a car, but they're curious, and they actually trust me enough that they can ask me the question. And I just answer the question, and I don't say, so when are you in the market? When do you want to buy a car? Are you ready this month, next month? When's, what's your time frame? You don't answer your question. Thanks so much for asking. They're going to remember that.
And it's because you're always marketing. You don't need to grab that question, answer, sale. You got to grab that sale quick. You know that will come down the line, right? You're just putting out entertainment, education, and in this cycle of information. So that way, when somebody comes into the market, boom, they're in your funnel. If they're just asking a question, they continue on their merry way until 6 months, 8 months, a year later, and like, okay, now I'm ready to buy. Hey, what about Meg? She was cool. She asked the question, or she answered the question. She knew everything, and I still follow her, right? And it's so free. And it's funny because you say like you spend a little bit of money on advertising right now. Like, does your budget a month exceed $500?
It's $20 a month.
Pardon me?
20.
20.
20 bucks a month. I boost one video a month on Facebook.
20. But how much is a GTA store's advertising budget for God knows what they spend their money on? It's not $20, I'll tell you that. No. Right? Imagine a dealership that said, and I'm going to go off on a tangent just for a second because I think you'll love this idea and it's yours. Use it if you love it. And I'll circle back to the kind of the shareable and things in a second. One of the big things I have a hard time with the dealership because I experienced it myself is the delivery experience, right? And that's a very loose term because there's no experience. But people picking up their new car, we probably do it the worst in in any kind of retail business as far as receiving the product you just purchased, especially when you consider the value of what you just bought. You know, you can go to Apple and you pick up a new iPhone and you probably feel better than when you pick up a car sometimes. A lot of dealerships do not do this even mediocre. They do it poor. Now, flip the script. If you said, okay, I'm going to take my advertised budget and just axe it, and I'm going to focus on the delivery experience, and I'm going to make something very unique and customized to each individual person that buys a car. And this relies on the salesperson really getting some information. They've got to know that the guy loves the Buffalo Bills. They've got to know that the girl loves to get her nails done every other week and change the color. They've got to know something personable about that customer so that they can fulfill this delivery experience. But then you take that and you say, okay, listen, we're going to go out, we're going to get the expensive car covers. We're going to get, the netting above the delivery bay with the balloons. So that way, every time someone comes in, boom, balloons everywhere. Or those confetti poppers, something. Make it so elaborate that when you walk in to pick up your car, you go, whoa, like wasn't expecting that. Because what's the first thing a customer does when they see something that's really cool, especially if it's a little bit, if it's for them? The first thing they grab their phone, right? And they want to record it. They want to get a selfie with it. They want to show it off because it's theirs. And it's this big hoopla for them, right? So imagine if every delivery that you had was with the intent on making it personable and shareable. Now, you yourself, I'm sure, and every manager has told every salesperson out there, get referrals, right? Well, is a referral really powerful when that sales guy goes and, or that customer goes and hands a card to another person and says, oh yeah, Mike was pretty good, and gives him a card? Sure. I may call, probably not. Now,
the garbage later.
Yeah. On the other side of that, if I just pick up a car and I'm on Instagram taking selfies because there's balloons everywhere, or putting on my new Buffalo Bills hat because the salesperson was like, I know you like the Bills, just wanted to get you a new cap, or, you're at the nail salon getting your nails done, hashtag Great Lake Honda, thanks so much for giving me a gift certificate to get my nails done. That's a referral. That actually will drive customers to your store because they saw that you gave a damn, put on this big show, gave a great experience. And you can't buy that kind of publicity, but you kind of can now, right? So that's me circling back to like having those shareable moments inside the store, because I think that the delivery experience is probably the best one to focus on.
I couldn't agree more. I love the balloons. I think about that one, but I love the balloons. But you're absolutely right. I mean, our dealership has preached this from the top down, which I absolutely love. But the delivery experience should be the most important part of you buying a car. And I hate delivery specialists. I always have.
Yeah.
I hate it. And I understand sometimes it's necessary, but I hate it because if I'm selling you a car and then just hand you off to somebody to go through a car with you, that is not how I do business. This is the
Hmm.
most exciting part of buying a car. This is the part where you should say wow and be pumped. And yes, like you said, shareable moments. We've got a red floor in behind our service department where you park all the new cars that are going out, or all the cars that are going out. We've got a big banner that says Great Lakes Honda red carpet, where you can take your picture in front of it, and
Cool.
your car's on the red carpet, and we put a bow on it. On every car, I put a bow on it.
Yeah.
And people are like, they walk out and they're like, wow, a bow. You got a
Yeah.
bow. And I was like, yeah, obviously. I always tell people ahead of time, we're taking your picture, so make
Yeah.
sure you do your hair or whatever when you come pick up your car. And they're like, oh, okay. And they go out there, they see a bow on their car, and it's just that extra wow factor, right?
Yeah.
And it makes it an awesome experience. And
Yeah.
I've had customers that I sold 6 cars to, and I still put a bow on it. And they're like, you still put the bow on it? I said, your 6th purchase is just as important, if not more important, than your first purchase. So
Yeah.
absolutely, I put a bow on it, 1000%, right? And you get people who say, oh, yeah, I don't want to take my picture or whatever. And then they go out and see the car and they're like, okay, I changed my mind. Let's take a picture. And it's about that. And you're right. That's what makes people remember you. That's what makes people want to send their friends and family to you, and not just say, oh yeah, Meg was good, but say, you are not going anywhere. Get in the
Hmm.
car. We're going to see Meg. She's going to take care of you. You
Hmm.
won't go anywhere else. That's what creates the difference.
I agree. And you are right. The delivery specialist, I hate to say it if you are one, because you're employed, but the delivery specialist is really, I think, the wrong way to go, because only you know that. For example, I mean, even if we take away from the fact that, of course, you want to hand the customer their keys because it's, you're fulfilling that goal of building that relationship. And like you say, customers may be really hard when they're buying the car, but when they come to pick it up, all that's done, and now they're really excited. You deserve to get that fulfillment out of it too. But even just for the customer's sake, because you've been with them when they were test driving, when they came back and they had questions about the car. Maybe they didn't know how adaptive cruise control worked on the test drive. And when they came back, you explained it to them. Well, you want to go over that again. You want to say, like, again, so, Chris, I remember you weren't quite sure how the adaptive cruise works. Remember, here's the button. This is how you use it. So that way they're not leaving the dealership, driving away and going, how do I use some of this stuff? Even though the delivery specialist, I'm sure, does a great job, you'll know specifically things that you discuss that you might want to review, right? And then get your satisfaction, because it's so hard to sell a car. You want that customer to be smiling instead of, I'm not paying that. Get the happiness, get your joy out of it too, because there is joy to giving keys to a car to a customer who's finally happy, right?
You're absolutely right. And, this job it's not always easy, we'll put it that way. You know that. It has its moments, but I say it all the time and I mean it. The best part of my job is when people come to pick up their new car, because you get to be a part of that excitement. And, some people don't care and it's just another set of wheels and whatever, right?
Hmm.
But for the most part, most people are stoked to get their new car. They're so, so excited. So it's like, then they see it and it's this moment and it just makes everything worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It really does.
100% I do. 100%
Yeah.
I do. And that's kind of, I think, what the person remembers the most when they pick up their car. They don't remember how the deal went down unless there was something that didn't go well. And you don't want them remembering that, right? But sorry, I shouldn't say nobody, but you don't get a lot of people coming in saying, that was so easy. I got the best price right away and I was so happy and I just paid for it. And that's kind of rare. But when you're giving the keys to the car, you can take, if they had a bad experience, you can take it and totally make it right. You can overcome so many things that might have gone not as planned during the sales process or purchase process, and turn that around when you give the keys over. So it's very crucial, I think, that the salesperson's still heavily involved in that. And that, the delivery specialist needs to kind of go, I think. I don't care how busy a store you are. It's not helping your business.
No, I agree completely. And, I do see, I mean, over the years we've talked about it, should we do it, should we not? And basically our whole dealership has always been on the no, we're not doing this train just because of everything. It should be a cohesive transaction from start to finish for the customer.
Hmm.
And then I also think it would create confusion, right? Like a lot of my customers, you do your follow-ups and everything, but and stay in touch. But I feel like, if a customer had a follow-up question, well, who do I call?
Yeah.
Because Megan went through everything with me, but then this other person showed me my car, or do I call the service department, or who do I talk
Yeah.
to? You always
Yeah.
want them, you want to be their person. I want you to think of me when you think about anything vehicle related. I want
Hmm.
you to come to me first. I am your car person. I'm always going to be your car person. So anything that has to do with your car, reach out to me. People
Yeah.
do it all the time where they'll just text me and say, Meg, this feature on my car, I know you told me, but I forget, or you didn't tell me. I'm like, oops. But, this feature on my car, and I'll just be like, oh yeah, and run to the showroom, record a quick video and text it back to them. You want people to reach out to you with that kind of stuff so that they always feel comfortable that this is the person I go to with all my questions.
Yep. I agree. I agree because it is a big investment, right? Like, it's funny because we always say we're the second biggest purchase you're going to make aside from your house. But when you look at realtors, they do it pretty poorly too because once you buy the house and you get the keys, they're gone. You get a thank you card, and if you're lucky, you get a little gift basket with like a bottle of champagne or something, but they're gone. They don't follow up and say, how's the house? Did you notice anything when you got possession that was, a little off? Or there's zero follow up from a realtor, at least in my experience, and I've had a few houses.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the fact that, when we're selling a vehicle, we want to be in touch still. We want to be your go-to. That experience isn't done because you said yes and we got paid. We're not like that. And that's, again, that's just going back to like if customers could only see this side of the desk. And this is, again, going back to your social media stuff. This is what you're doing, right? You're showing people that like this is what we're about. This is not what you couldn't see before in the 80s when you come in for a trade appraisal and they toss the keys, underneath the washroom stall so that way they couldn't find for half an hour, so you'd have to buy a car. Like it's not like that.
Ownership in the photocopier, or
Yeah.
although to be fair,
Exactly.
I've done the driver's license in the photocopier many a
Oh,
time.
guilty as charged. How many times have they come back in? I don't have my license. They're like, oh, sorry about that. So, okay, so aside from the delivery specialist, which you don't have, what's something you would change if you had the power tomorrow in the automotive industry? What's that one thing like, you know what, I have a plan for this. I know I would change this, and this would be my first action as president of automotive sales in Ontario.
This one could get messy, but I won't get messy with it. I'll just go
Yeah, who
easy.
cares? Give her. Let's. I mean, hey, it's just an opinion, right?
No, that's fair. It's fair. I wish there was more transparency
Okay.
in the industry. The thing that bugs me the most is when you see dealerships that aren't honest with people, that do bad things to people and get away with it.
Yeah.
That bugs me a lot. And I wish, that could be a little bit different in the industry. I mean, of course, there's always, there's the car industry is, the only industry that you really negotiate in, or that you really have, you can have hidden things and,
Yeah.
sneak around and do bad things, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's just, and
100%.
sorry, trying to be politically correct here. But I know I don't need to be, but it's in my
No.
nature. Um, but yeah, I just wish there was a little more transparency. I wish people couldn't always get away with doing things that they do, and I wish it was easier for consumers to see and to know
Yeah.
and understand what a good deal actually means, and what it actually feels like and what it actually looks like. And that's again part of my goal with all of my social media. But I'm one person, so I would change that. I would make it a little bit more transparent, more honest.
Yeah, there's nothing worse as a salesperson. I can remember this where, you're shooting straight and you're giving, the terms of a deal, whether it's finance, lease, cash, whatever the case is, you're giving it to them straight. There's no hidden fees. There's no, it's actually bi-weekly, but I'm telling you it's monthly and bi-weekly times two or anything like that. Or, you're telling the customer the trade value before tax, not after tax, or all these little stupid things that we think help us out to, cover it up when it's all right there. But there's nothing worse to me when you're losing a deal because the other dealership has pulled a trick and you know it and you can see it. And the trade's the easiest example, right? I'm giving you 8,000. Well, they're giving you 9,600. You're like, well, no, that's including tax. It's the same thing. Well, no, they told me it's 9,600. And you're like, oh, like, you just want to be like, let me, like, you know what I mean? And it's so hard because the customer believes it and you can't tell them you're full of shit. You can't tell them the other dealer's full of shit. And you can't say, I'm going to prove you wrong. I mean, you can win an argument. You'll never win a sale. And it's so tough. So I get exactly what you're saying, that there's the dealerships that pull these things because they know the customer's not buying from them. Then they come to you and now you've got this battle and this wall of bullshit that you've got to figure out how to tell the customer it's not true, not insult them, not make them feel stupid, but not call the other dealership. It's so polluted. And that's the stuff, like you say, that thankfully doing what you're doing, they're hopefully just going to come to you first, right? And that's the thing. I always say, never worry about what the other guys are doing. Worry about bringing people to you. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, on the other side of that, I want to get your thoughts on this. Okay, we're obviously at a very unique point in car sales with COVID being, we were locked up and then only a certain amount of people in the showroom. So it got difficult to serve customers. Customers are now very used to purchasing things they never once thought they'd buy online, groceries, ink, whatever it is, all Amazon, Instacart, all these things. They're so used to doing this where some people would just have never done that before. And now we have dealerships running low on inventory to the point where some of them have 25 new cars to sell. Now, wild thought, manufacturers switching to that order online, pick up in store experience. And I'll leave it as vague as that. What's your thoughts?
Okay. I'll leave it vague. Nice.
I'll let you fill in the gaps. How about that?
The buy online, I mean, I know there was a big jump towards that right when COVID hit, where it was like, this is where we're going. It's happening right now. Dealerships are going to become obsolete. It's not real anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a part of it that does happen online. I really don't think I know we're not at a point where people are ready to buy cars online yet. Okay. I still think that there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle that need to be filled in by a dealership. I think there are some people who will be willing to buy online, but there's such a small percentage of those people. And when they want to, they can go for it, right? Do mm-hmm. it. You can basically do it online. I mean, we had an option on our website to buy online for a year and a half, and not one person did it.
Right.
Because at some point, people want to talk to a human being. And mm-hmm. again, they want that experience, right? So do I think it'll get there one day? Probably, yeah. But I really don't think it's in our near future. I think, honestly, when I look back at COVID and how it has affected people mentally and emotionally, I think that if anything, people want a personal relationship more now than ever because they've been buying stuff online.
Interesting.
Because that's all they've had to do and that's all they've been able to do. And the last thing that they want to buy is a car online. They want to come in, they want to talk to somebody, they want to have an experience. I've had customers come in over the last year and a half that just sit there and talk, and you're like, okay, we're talking, okay. and they're sweet and everything, and they're like, you know what? I don't need a car yet, but I wanted to get out of the house and talk to somebody, and you were great, so we'll just buy a car. And I've had that happen, but I genuinely think that people were shown a world without social interaction for so long and told that they can't do things that they normally want to do, that I think it kind of went backwards a little bit. That's been my experience, and I think that that's actually reality. I think that, there are people who are just embracing it and buying online, but
Mhm.
most people want to get in a car, drive a car, touch it, make sure it fits comfortably, talk to a human being about it. We're
So,
not AI.
do you think the showroom will ever become legitimate? What it's called, like a showroom whereby maybe the actual dealership doesn't hold inventory, in the sense that what they have in their lot is cars in the showroom, cars for test drive, and then sold orders in the back that people are coming to pick up their car. Because I agree with you that no matter what, I think there needs to be some sort of experience in a showroom for a customer to feel comfortable purchasing a vehicle, right? And some people will just go online, click, 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 and then when it gets to wherever, they go pick it up. But that's few and far between. But do you ever think that the show may become legitimately what it is, and it's just a place for people to come and explore the vehicle, explore the options, feel it, drive it, smell it, touch it, all this stuff, and then they can then continue their purchase not with a traditional salesperson where there's a worksheet and all this, but they're at a tablet or a kiosk or something, and they're building their car with this person from the store, and they hit order, and then 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, whatever the case is, I don't know, the car comes into the store and then they pick up their vehicle. Do you see it getting to that point, or do you always think that there's going to be a traditional sale involved where it's not just click and add, and there's always going to be dealerships that hold these millions of dollars worth of floor plan for inventory?
It's tough for me because I don't want it to go that way. Not just because I'm in sales, but because that's who I am as a person, where I would always want to go in and talk to somebody. But
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely think that it'll head that way at some point. I think that it'll just keep changing and just keep maturing in a way that naturally gets to that point. But yeah, I do think that it would make sense. I think that there's some pros and cons about it, but manufacturing and all sorts of things would have to be figured out. But it's definitely possible that it gets to that point. But it would be interesting to see, because you think about costs of building vehicles at a rate of, you're building a vehicle when an order gets placed versus I'm building bulk.
Mm.
What kind of cost would that be for manufacturing? Would that increase the cost of vehicles? So then would you have an option where you have conventional dealerships that have stuff available with better discounts or rebates versus buying it online and ordering the exact one you want, and a factory order costs a little bit more?
So kind of
Um,
like a hybrid model.
yeah, like it's very interesting to think about, but you it's bound to change. It has to. It has to. That's the way the world works, right? I
Yeah.
don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but I think over time it'll just kind of migrate in that direction.
Yeah, I think like the dealerships, automotive sales in general is just so archaic, right? We've just been so slow to adapt to any kind of new ways, technology, or anything like that. And it's derived from a lot of different angles. But it would be really cool to see, and this is more, believe it or not, and I think you agree, this is more for the customer and the customer satisfaction, to see it get to a point where there's no sales involved. And what I mean by that is there's no negotiation involved. There's no, what's your best deal? And then you go 35 minutes up the street, what's your best deal? It's literally just, this is what we have available. And I like your hybrid model. That's actually kind of neat. This is what we have available in a Civic, and here's the trade, blah, blah, blah. And this is what we have here that's available for sale, and that's the price, right? And maybe, like you say, maybe it is a little bit discounted because it's being floored by the dealership. But that's it. Like, it's order now, or it's buy now, or customize my order, and you order from the factory. And that'd be so cool. But I think dealerships, and I say dealerships, I mean all manufacturers in general, really kind of have to catch up to it becoming a buying experience and not a selling experience. Because I think the selling experience is where we're all getting it wrong, including the customer wanting that. Because as soon as you take out any kind of negotiables, it now just becomes a transaction. And now the salesperson, it wouldn't be a salesperson, the advisor, the dealership can concentrate on making that experience as best as possible. And the customer can just enjoy the experience rather than coming and going, I'm going to get hosed, right? They're just coming and going, I'll take that one. And then it's a great experience and it's seamless and there's no processes only fall apart when the customer wants to do something silly and you're like, oh, I can't stick to my process, which is designed for you to have a good experience.
And on everything you just said, I do find it interesting, but I also wonder if you take that negotiation part out with regards to trade and and the new car experience, maybe not necessarily about the selling experience or the buying experience, but as a manufacturer, when you look at it from a big perspective, if you don't have a salesperson doing their job and watching leases and watching when they're expiring and pulling people out early and calling people to say, listen, there's an upgrade. I mean, your marketing strategy would have to be top notch to ensure that you continue to sell the appropriate amount of vehicles if you don't have a salesperson involved keeping an eye on that. Because if you bought a car and you say you paid cash for it and you didn't have a salesperson call you in 4 years, when's the next time you go car shopping? You probably wait it out. You know what I mean? So as a manufacturer, their marketing would have to be top notch to make sure that people are still buying cars at the rate that they're buying them now, to make sure that you've got somebody educating people in the proper way. I mean, I'm converting, our store converts about 60% lease on new car. So, right. But how much of that, those people came in wanting to finance or pay cash?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Probably 20%. So when you think about that 20% that would have just clicked, check, order my car, I'll finance for 5 years. Whereas when you talk to an actual human being who not convinces you, but shows you the benefits of a different transaction that's better for your life. And now they're in a lease, now they're back in your chair in 4 years and buying another car. And then you've got a used car for your used car lot. Now you've sold 3 cars instead of 1. So as a manufacturer, I don't know that they would really migrate to that model for quite some time, knowing that they'll probably sell less cars if everybody buys online.
And you know what? That's a fantastic example because I've had this conversation with some other people and I've never saw that angle. It's like, you almost become a free-for-all if it all of a sudden overnight just goes, okay, we're not going to have salespeople. We're just going to be, an outlet, a depot, a retail front. Yeah, if you got no one paying attention to it. And the greatest example you said right there was most people would come in and finance their car. And a lot of people would not take advantage of leasing. But the conversion from finance to leasing for a lot of customers who fit in that thing is very simple. It's just educating the customer, and helping them understand it and the benefits to it. So yeah, it's so true. I mean, even the people paying cash, right? Why do you want to pay cash? So I have a line of credit. Well, what's the interest rate of this? And you can go through this and just give them information and allow them to make their own decision. But some people would pay legitimately quite a bit more for a vehicle because they're just being allowed to check off the box that they want to check off, lease, cash, finance. Whereas, when you have a traditional, I guess, what do you call sales involved, we help educate and lend, it's not an opinion, but some advice. It's funny. I never looked at it that angle that becomes a little bit of a free-for-all.
Yeah, you if I look at even, my portfolio and people that were going to buy a car, I mean, I've got this one couple that have bought four or five vehicles from me who came in and were planning to buy one. And, conversion from cash to lease or from cash to finance or even just straight to cash, depending on what the deal was at the time. And you just call them up and say, listen, I was running the numbers and looked at your trade, looked at everything, and it makes sense. So your warranty's up. Let's just get a new car. And then they did. There's lots of customers like that. And a big part of being a salesperson isn't just to sell somebody a car and to sell them once. It's to keep an eye on their portfolio and help them, move to the next vehicle when the time is right. If you've got a computer doing all that work, it's like, well, what vehicle do you want next so that I can make sure that when the time is right, that I get you into that vehicle. Well, Meg, we're planning on having kids. I'm going to need a van next time around. Okay, so when the deal's right, I'll call you. Computers It's going to take a long time before they get to that point where they can think, okay, the trade makes sense, or pull them out of their lease now. There's no neg now, so time to move forward. And there's a $2,500 rebate, so it makes sense. Interest rate's good. They get a loyalty rebate. Boom, numbers go. It's a long ways away.
Interesting. I'm not going to say you converted me because I still like the model of buying online, picking up in store. But yeah, I get that. Now, to argue, so what's that app, Revenue Radar? I don't know. I don't even want to plug them. But there's apps that dealerships have where it mines their database looking for perhaps equity situations, or break even or cheaper payment situations based on blah 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 blah. So there is some, it's not even AI, but there's some technology that might assist with that in the future should, because it's a completely valid point. I mean, say a customer chooses a lease or a finance, and that customer, based on the market, has now an equity situation. Maybe they don't know this. Actually, they probably don't know this. And that manufacturer now has an opportunity to put them into their latest and greatest for cheaper, same payment, whatever the case is. Well, how do you get that message out there without the help of someone actually looking at that going, hey, hold on, this customer could be in a good spot? So yeah, no, I mean, that's a great avenue of business that a lot of dealerships capitalize on extremely well, which is why there's lease retention managers and people like this, which is why there's those apps that dealerships pay thousands of dollars for every month, just to find business where nobody's looking or where it takes a lot of time to look for. So, okay, you're not convincing me, but so now we got to solve that problem in my head.
Well, and we don't have an app, but Honda does send us inequity leads, right?
Yeah.
We're really good on our database, and we're small, so we keep a really tight eye on our lease book and whatnot. But a lot of these leads come in, and it's like, yeah, they're inequity, and it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, they put 20,000 down on a 3-year
Of course they have
lease.
equity.
Of course they've got equity, and they're a year in. They just bought their car a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Or the inequity leads don't tell you that, so-and-so just got pregnant with twins and the CRV doesn't fit their family anymore, right? So
yeah.
Equity or not, it doesn't matter. They need a bigger vehicle, right?
Yeah, that human element doesn't know that. Yeah, you're right. Or pardon me,
exactly.
the tech element doesn't know that.
Yeah, or you get an inequity lead and it's like, well, yeah, I put $8,000 down on my lease because I was planning to buy it out at the end. So
Yeah.
obviously I've got equity after 2 years, right?
Sure.
That doesn't mean I want a new car because I did that on purpose to have a super low payment and then buy it out at the end. It's like, yeah, I get it, right?
Yeah.
And computers can't see that yet.
Yeah. No, I agree. And you know what? To clarify, because I don't want to, rub people the wrong way. I'm not suggesting
Oh,
that.
no, you're not. You're not.
No, I'm not suggesting that your job is obsolete. I'm suggesting that with that model, we can then take the cream of the crop, the best of the best. So people like yourself who are already making strides to be different and provide that great customer experience and employ them in a way that your salary is more consistent, first of all. B, we can pay you what you're worth. In other words, when you deliver a fantastic experience day in, day out, and that's your goal, and that's who you are as a salesperson, now we can pay you what you're worth. Because unfortunately, sometimes in this business, what your efforts are, what you're worth, and your experiences don't always add up to the proper paycheck, right? And that's nobody's fault. In general, sometimes that's just how it happens. So it's unfortunate for people like yourself who put in the effort and are really on par trying to make it great, and you just have a bad month. It's just like, well, that sucks, and as a manager, I remember seeing that, being like, I feel so bad because you deserve more. So I think in my head, in my this futuristic perfect scenario is that we now take people like yourself and we find the best of the best, and that's who we employ. We pay them great, they deliver great experiences, and yeah, now how do you encompass what you just said? So that's interesting. Yeah.
And I love what you said about all of that, because I think we are heading towards a spot where that world is what we're going to be a part of. You drive a car, touch a car, feel a car, showroom, and then go online and order it. And I think that the business will migrate from having 25 salespeople on the floor and they're all order takers.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, okay, next. To, like you said, some of the people that are, a little bit higher level, that could be more and could be a little bit better and deliver that great experience. And you're going to go from paying 25 salespeople to do an average job to 5 or 10 salespeople who do an excellent job, because you've got computers assisting you, you've got the internet assisting you, and you've got a showroom that gives you that capability that you don't need. You don't need 25 people running around like chickens with their heads cut off and not knowing anything about cars. It's like, what engine does that have? I don't know. Like, you have better people, so you're doing.
And the byproduct of having so many people is such a poor situation and poor experience for a customer, right? But the byproduct of having less people and you cut out this negotiation nonsense is that a dealership really just hones in on, why would you buy from Great Lakes Honda? Well, because we give you the best experience. Price is equal no matter, like across the board, price is equal. Why do you come here? Because we give you a little bottle of champagne when you pick up your car, we shake it up, you pop it, and everybody has a blast, right? You can focus on things like that versus, the best price. And then you don't have these stupid advertisements that it's, and it's not, we'll pick ABC Motors, running the same national ad right behind it, focusing on interest rates and cash. Like, who cares? Nobody cares, right?
Those ads only matter if you're in the market today. That's the only time they matter. And if you catch somebody, then good. But it's very, very spray and pray. It is.
And then you're only attracting people based on the fact that it looks like you're getting a great deal. So when they come in, what do you have to do? You have to give them a great deal. And what happens to that? Then you get paid $125 for a flat deal and you're demotivated and you got to pull yourself out of the gutter to give that customer a great experience. It's just such a cycle and a drain of bad ideas.
That's all you end up talking about is the great deal, great deal. And it's like, that's not all this is about. There's so much more. Like, do you even like the car? I don't care. I want the best deal. Okay, like the best deal is on a Civic LX at a 5-year lease. Well, I don't want a lease. Well, that's the best deal. So I don't know and I don't want that car. Well, you asked me what the best deal was. That's the best deal right now. And people get so caught up in it. Drives me crazy.
That's what I don't miss about retail is those people.
No, it's fair. But to be fair, we've trained that, right?
Yeah.
In the car industry, we've trained people to look for the best deal. We've trained people to expect the best deal. We've trained people to shop at the end of the month. We've trained people to shop at the end of the year when they're clear out.
So true.
It's all fake. It's all just a gimmick.
It's so true. And you know what? By going to this model, whether it's hybrid or whatever, the situation that we're talking about, you no longer have sales targets. You no longer have this 30-day cycle of just living hell and month-end push. And it would probably legitimately just switch to like a quarter thing. Every quarter we've got a target, but it's not really as relevant because it's you can't win deals over others because of price or trade. It's now just, why didn't we meet our target? Well, either the market was weird or we didn't provide the experiences to bring in the right customers, right? And it's very easy to track that. And at that point, I mean, we all like to say in the car business, we got to measure everything. You got to measure this. Well, you can, but at a certain point, it just comes down to the fact of your price was more than the other dealership was willing to offer, and you lost a deal, right? Well,
I mean, you got to look at it that way. Absolutely.
Yeah. And man, I hope it goes there sooner than later, because I think for everybody in the industry, that's going to mean that if you're good at your job, you stay employed and you make what you're worth. And that's important, that everybody is paid what their worth and what they deserve. And it's going to take the people in the business that shouldn't be in the business, and they can find something else to do. That's just the reality of it, right? I mean, it's one of those weird jobs that we accept 25% as successful. 30% is an amazing job. Well, in any other business, that would be laughable. And if you're going to be one of those people that decides that, you know, you don't care about the experience, you're just around, you're trying to get the most money on every customer and you never follow up and whatever, this shouldn't be the business for you. And they should be departed, and you just have a store that operates boring. Boring dealerships would be amazing, where there's no drama, there's no fires to put out. The manager's not going, you know, like I want to work at a boring dealership. It's like, right? Am I crazy?
I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that world. I just, it's not real.
No, it's not. It's not. But like legit, that's what I want to work at, a boring dealership where the most drama we have is because, you know, Paul just had a kid or whatever. Like that's what I want the drama to be from my group of employees, where it's just like cool drama. It's their family life that intermingles because we're always there and we always work together. I don't want it to be this customer's yelling, you know, this customer's backing out of this deal. Enough of that.
Yeah. No. Oh, bad feels. I know. I'm with you.
Yeah. Well, listen, keep doing what you're doing. Your experience is going to shine, right? You're going to get those customers. You're already doing it, but I think more and more that funnel gets narrower and narrower as far as people that stand out and shine. And I wish you all the success. I hope you're in a sales manager's position soon, because like I could see you trying to change something, and what better place to do it than a smaller store? Like you can do that kind of stuff there. GTA stores, all that, like they got, oh no, what they're doing it. None of, like you could probably make a really cool change, and I look forward to seeing it. And I really do appreciate your time chatting with us today. And is there anything, plug away? Like, what do you want to plug? Let's go. Like, what's your 30-second spiel? Why are we buying from Meg?
Well, thank you for having me. It was awesome, and I hope we do it again. It was super fun. I could chat for hours, but yeah, if you want to check me out, you can find me on YouTube. I'm Your Honda Meg, basically on all social media. I'm on Facebook under Your Honda Meg. I've got a business page. Instagram, Your Honda Meg. I think that's what my LinkedIn is too, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Sweet.
So I'm basically on all of the platforms. I'm even on TikTok, which is probably mostly videos of my cat, but people like that too. So I use it. It's fun to edit with. So yeah, you can find me, Your Honda Meg, on any social media platform. Follow me. I'd love to chat with you.
Awesome. It was a pleasure. Loved your angle, and thank you for opening up my mind. You kind of enlightened me in a few things that I just never thought of. So this is what these are about, the Strategy Mob too, right? Just getting all these angles, helpful advice, opinions, and then hopefully we just get the brain juice flowing, and people, whether driving to work, listen to this, or hanging out on the couch or whatever, like you're kind of going, that's an interesting idea. So love it. It's been super entertaining, super fun to chat with you. And yes, we will do it again soon. TikTok was something I forgot to ask you about, so maybe the next time we'll get into that, because I'm very curious about that platform. I'm not at that age. Like, I'm a little bit too old to get on the TikTok thing where I'm like, I get it. Like, I need the insight. So next time, that's what we're going to chat about. All right, cool. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great vacation, because I know you're off right now. When you get back, hope you're killing it, and look forward to chatting with you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right, take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy Mob podcast. Don't want to miss new content? Visit us at strategymob.com to view our huge library of content and to sign up to be a mobster and stay in the know. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.